Afternoon. It's April the 13th, and I wanted to do a video on how we top our Giant Marconi pepper plants. I've grown these pepper plants for many years, probably 8 to 10 years, and I've learned throughout the years of growing this variety of pepper plant that if I don't cut the tops out of these plants when they're small and start producing lateral branching, they get really extremely tall. And with this variety of pepper plant, the peppers are so huge that high winds or even medium winds, sometimes, depending on the size of your pepper, will snap the stalks off the plant. So to help with that, we take these pepper plants, and you can see in here, there's lateral shoots starting to come off of this main stalk. So what we're trying to do is, let me see if I can get in here and pop this very top out of this plant. And what that does, it stops or slows down the vertical growth and starts putting the energy into making these side lateral branches. And it takes a pepper plant that would be really tall and gangly and shortens it up into a nice, shorter, bushy plant. In my playlist, last year's Giant Marconi grow, I grew out 13 plants, and the tallest plant, even after topping these plants, was over 7 feet tall. And we top them to stop them from getting so tall, but that was just the nature of the beast last year. We planted them in a spot that we had never planted them. It's been highly fertilized for many years, and they just grew extremely well. And even getting in there in between the plants to water, if you bump some of these stalks, they have a tendency to snap off with the weight of the peppers. So this is what I do to try to help out with some of that. I'll get me a nice pointy, sharp pair of scissors, and we'll go in here, and you can see these leaves. Everywhere there's a leaf coming off the side of this plant, there's a new branch going to form. So I'll leave, there's 2 branches, 4 branches, 6 branches, 8 branches, and I'll just snip the top out as close as I can get to the top on this plant. Let me see if I can. And there you go. You see what I took out of that plant? The very top of that plant. And now that's what you get. And what that'll do is that'll force this side branching to start happening faster. These plants really need transplanting, but I'm going to do that this weekend, and I'll make a video on how I transplant these Giant Marconis. But I just wanted to go ahead and get these things topped today so that we won't have to fool with that come time when it's transplanting this weekend. So there's one. We'll do another one here. You can see the little shoots coming off the side if my camera's going to pick it up. Everywhere there's a leaf coming off the side of this stalk, there's going to be a branch. So we're going to get in here in the very tip of this plant, the very top. And if you go a little low, that's okay too. And I'm just going to snip that right out of there. And you can see, I know it looks extreme, but trust me, with this kind of pepper, you want to stop that vertical growth. And you want to stop it young. And what that'll do is get these side branches time to start branching out there. And it just works a lot better. The pepper plants grow a lot better. You don't have to do this, but I've grown them both ways. I never used to do that when I started. and I had cages around them, and I'd have to put another cage on top of the cage because they were growing so tall. They were hanging over the side of the cage with the weight of the peppers. I'd eventually have to cut the top of the plant off anyway. Unless you got 6, 7 foot stakes and you want to try to grow them like that, stake them all up, you go right ahead and do it that way. But my suggestion to keep a shorter plant that's easier to harvest off of is to keep it short and bushy with this strain that grows really tall. Like I say, these are in 16-ounce cups, and you can see how tall that plant's already getting. And, you know, this isn't stretching because of lack of light. I've had these pepper plants under T5 8-bulb grow lights made for professional growers, and for the past month, they've been outside most of the day and brought in at night. So they've been getting more sunshine than grow light. And they're still growing this tall. So what we'll do is get in here, and I'll get right there as close as I can to the top. And I'll cut that top right out of there. You see that? And then these branches, if my camera will pick it up, that are forming on the side, the little leaves coming out on the side, now the growth will go into that lateral side growth instead of this top growth. So that's how I do it. That's how I advise anyone growing this strain to do it, unless you've got the time to keep trellising these guys up. I have noticed with this strain too that even the side stalks, they can be very brittle when they're loaded with peppers. So if I get side branching coming outside of my cages, I try to weave those back inside because it'll hang outside the cage, and if your rows are really close and you bump against that side branch with a bunch of peppers on the end of it, it has a chance and a tendency to snap right off. I went through that last year. I planted them 2 foot apart. Row spacing was 2 foot apart, trying to get as many in the area that I had. And I should have spaced them a little further apart. But you do what works for you. And if you don't want to top your pepper plants, don't top them. This is not like a tiny little chili plant or a bell pepper plant that will not grow as tall as these will. So this is how I do it. We'll do one more. Here's another one. You can see I kind of wait till I start seeing some branching off to the side. You can see down in there. Once I start seeing that, I know the growth is trying to come out on the side. So I just help it by cutting the tops out of these plants. We'll just get in there. We'll pinch that guy right off just like that. There's the top of that plant. Lost a leaf there, but that's okay. That's what it looks like now. But you give it a few weeks, and these side branches is going to come out of there, and they're going to start growing up just like the top growth on these plants were originally. Just a little video on how to top your Giant Marconi pepper plants. And I'll be transplanting these this weekend because, let's see if I can get one. I really should probably do it before, but you can see that they're severely root bound. That's why I'm getting some discoloring on the top of these leaves. So that I always know when I start seeing them getting lighter at the top, you can see that they're getting root bound in these cups. So there you go. If you like the content of this channel and you like the videos I put out, then give us a thumbs up. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.